What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome everybody to the Rock Cruise Podcast, where we dig deep to reach high, and of course, always progress through action. I am your co-host, Payron Baxter,
and I am your co-host, Ram Sandoval. What's up?
How is everyone doing today on this Thursday? Man, the time is just time. Time is a flat circle. I said almost every episode. What is time? But this is the podcast where we keep it real and you get the chills. Again, we are just going to dive right into it because there's just so much to get into, folks. I mean, like if you just pay attention just a little bit, you're probably like, again, we're in this tornado, this tsunami of crazy shit. So yeah. Ron, before we get into it, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Staying busy as always. So I know Halloween's next week. I guess Halloween's next week, but all the events are coming up tomorrow and this weekend. So kind of got getting the kids ready. The youngest will be Minnie Mouse, and my oldest is a princess. So
nice.
Yeah, and I got my Jason mask, so I have a little bit of something.
Okay, so it's just costumes in general. Okay, all right. Yeah, we're doing the K-pop Demon Hunters situation. So I'm going to be one of the Soulja Boys in their final renditions of Your Idol, and my son will be a Soulja Boy. I think we're doing Soda Pop, and then Liz will be Rumi, and Ava will be Mira. So yeah, that's going to be our situation. We always do it on ensemble.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think Aaliyah's going to do the Rumi for her birthday, like her birthday theme.
Nice.
I think I did. What's it called? Miles from Spidey, Amazing Spidey Man.
Miles Morales.
Yeah, so like in the Amazing Spidey and Friends, like he looks like kind of like Spider-Man, but like I don't know. Like, anyways, I'm that, and I was that, and she was Ghost or Gwen, if you will. So that was the one time and then last year she was a witch and I was a warlock.
Okay, so that was
trying to do a little bit,
theming it up. Oh, all right, I respect the game. Respect the game. All right, brother. Well, what are we getting into first and foremost on this Relic Roots podcast?
Well, there's a lot going on, but here we're going to start off local. So here in Union County, our red county where we reside, there was a teachers strike yesterday. So there's no union here. However, several hundred, I want to say 200 or so teachers, I don't know the actual numbers, but they called off of work yesterday, didn't show up. They're protesting the fact that they were supposed to be given a $2,000 stipend, which was approved by the Union County School Board earlier this year. It was also approved by the Union County Commissioners. They provided $8 million. It was supposed to be allocated to that. The Union County School Board basically said it's not enough, and they slashed it to $1,000. And then this is also a county where teachers are already severely underpaid.
Yep.
And so, well, they decided to fight back a little bit, right? So kind of, I would say that yesterday was getting their feet wet.
Yes.
And it could escalate. I think it should. I think teachers in general are highly underpaid for one of the most important professions. Education is extremely important it should be extremely important to all Americans. It's extremely important to me. My grandmother was a teacher, Chicago public school teacher for 40 years, and also taught in Indiana. So I have a huge respect for teachers, especially even the ones here in Union County. Our daughters have teachers, right? So it's important. And a lot of the finger pointing that's happening right now, they're saying the commissioners is blaming the school board is blaming the commissioners. They're blaming the fact that there's no North Carolina state budget. The North Carolina Republican General Assembly, almost nearly a supermajority, has not passed a budget. They're not doing their job. We'll talk about what they did actually accomplish this week. But yeah, so there was a strike yesterday. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's I agree with you. I think it's great that people are exercising their power in this moment. And we say it all the time that cowardice is contagious, but so is courage. and being able to, galvanize folks around what you deserve, right? They're not asking for the star on the moon. At $2,000, um, and it's just in a moment where folks are woefully underpaid, where there is food insecurity, teachers are leaving in droves. But in this moment, I just want to remind people that this county, using our county as Union County. I'm sure a lot of folks out there who are listening from other red counties, whether it be in North Carolina or anywhere else in the country, um, I'm sure has been conservative for a very long time. And specifically here in Union County, this is always been conservative. Even in quote unquote Democrats running the county, uh, they were Dixiecrats here in North Carolina. So this has always been ran by a white supremacist progressive outlook, for children. And I love this, but it does come down to the voting booth. It does come down to what we talked about in our last episode. It is like, okay, this is great, but we still are trying to meet these people, where they are, and be kind during meetings, and kind in public, and kind at local events, and oh, hey, commissioner and school board member, rather than, like, again, you have to fight these people. You have to create, and I said this on our last episode, you got to have economic pressure. Anytime things have changed in this country, it's been under economic pressure. What did they do? They took time out of they took time off, and said, I think it was a mass sick out. It was actually what it was.
Mhm.
It was either way, it shows, hey, if we ain't got no teachers here, what y'all gonna do? So yeah, I think it was great.
Yeah, there's no teachers union here in Union County yet. I think arguably a reason to have one. The schools here, the Union County schools have good ratings overall. They're also they tell, even though they tell a story that looks great on the surface.
Hmm.
From the east side to the west side, there's a different
Hmm.
story of what's actually occurring. So it's kind of
Right.
mask the what's actually happening in terms of like the funding to schools on one side of town versus schools to the other. And I think it's here in Union County. It's a the Union County Public School Board is all Republicans except for one member. Union County Commissioners, all Republicans. The North Carolina General Assembly is nearly a supermajority of Republicans,
By one.
despite the fact that the state itself is nearly 50-50. Democrats do not have appropriate representation. So, like,
I mean,
when
there's more Democratic voters in North Carolina than there are Republican voters.
exactly, and so there's more representation. There's all mostly all. So when these things are happening, when these schools are not being appropriately funded, when the teachers are not being appropriately funded, who do you blame? Do you blame it? How do you blame
Bro,
a Democrat in this situation? This is what y'all have voted for here, and unfortunately, the teachers have to pay the price, and I would imagine a lot of
the
these teachers, a
students.
lot of these students have to pay the price. Well, and here's the thing about, and I'll get to that actually, but they have to. Well, here's the thing about the students. The students in Union County, the teachers are very dedicated to what they do. They care about the students, and so despite it not being a lucrative career,
Hmm.
in here in Union County, like, they know that they're not getting paid adequately, yet they still continue to teach and educate the children of the next generation, and that's commendable. However, we shouldn't be asking teachers to sacrifice themselves, to pull money out of their own pockets to decorate the classrooms, to provide books in the classroom or materials and things like that. Like, why are we forcing the teachers to do that? And I imagine some of these teachers are probably MAGA and shooting themselves in the foot. But here we are, and you can't you can't blame Democrat. Everyone wants to make everything partisan. Like, you can't blame anybody but yourself. So these
No, and
yeah, I was gonna say the superintendent makes $300,000 a year. The school board voted to increase their salaries, or their stipend, this year as well. And
mhm,
what people aren't talking about is the fact that there was a lot of funding for was it Title IV, that was taken away for students with disabilities, special education from the federal government, which is about 5 to 10% of pretty much all public school boards. Um, uh, Districts in the in the nation, all that funding's gone, right? Because and so now there is a gap, and no one's talking about that. Of like, well, you have to find money somewhere and allocate this money. So all of a sudden, there's millions of dollars that are no longer in the system. So like, like they're that's probably where that money is going to elsewhere, right? So they have to figure out where to put this money in the budget, and so teachers are the ones uh, that are being penalized, and then ultimately, again, like you said, the children, it does hurt the children.
Yeah, no. It's funny, like your point earlier of like, this is Republican led, this has been conservative. When I was the chair, and I was harking back to my Democratic Party chair times, because it was such a crash course in the political infrastructure that I don't think I was privy to. I think I was like an average black person, vote Democrat, but then like seeing how this shit works and seeing how the messaging strategy and communication strategy is usually lacking. And when I was chair, I would say that to people. I said, like, this is a county that's been ran by Republicans, has been led by Republicans for decades and decades and generations. So every pothole, every missing stoplight, every outdated book in a school, every pipe that burst is their fault. And I just could not get people to galvanize around just attacking them, because I think there was just this reaction that like we can't say that because we're going to push them away and they're not going to vote for us. They're not voting for you anyway. We have how many decades worth of I think we went back to one of my co-chairs went back to Jimmy Carter. That was the last time Union County voted for a Democrat. And again, that was the 1970s. We're still going through the Southern strategy. Willie Helms is around, who was a Dixiecrat. So you kind of have this changing, the chameleon's or the lizard's pulling off its skin at that moment, and it doesn't really know who it wants to be. But at the end of the day, white people always chose whiteness, right? They always chose white superiority. So yes, that is so irritating, in my personal opinion, that people are not actively in these red areas. I don't know what's like in other areas, but I can only imagine it's probably the same thing, where there's a predominantly larger white population compared to black and brown populations. Get on the offense. Say like, yo, these books and these teachers are on strike because the Republicans, and like just say the board's Republican. We have, to your point, we have one Democrat on board, John Kirkpatrick, who's running for Congress. Like, just say it's a Republican board, because we know, yes, even though there's a Democrat on board, it doesn't matter. If there's how many people on the board? What, 7, 8 people?
I think it's like 9. So like, and one like the superintendent. So
So yeah, like, dude, like there's only so much one guy can do. This is a Republican problem, and until we start at least saying that, because I know people won't get to it's a white supremacy problem. There's too much cowardice in the hearts of too many people to get there. But then to your other point about teachers having to pay for things out of their pocket on their already low salary, and their already stretched budget, or their already contrived time. It's funny because these people who are like, this is what the teachers deserve, who always have this kind of understanding that teachers should not be paid, and schools should be basically eradicated from public life to keep people stupid, smooth-brained, and docile. But at the same time, we don't ever ask, like, our police officers, you got to go buy your own bullets. Firefighters, you need to go buy your own hoses.
right.
But it's the same sort of. This is when we're talking about single payer. We're talking about with healthcare. That's the same thing. Like, there's one payer, which is the government, that pays for this thing. Right? It's not necessarily, oh, we have to do a bake sale. We have to, have parents, send your kid with this, bushel of crayons and markers and notebooks. That should be paid for through our tax dollars. But dying of whiteness has taught us that people are willing to forego just so they can say their kid goes to a good school, and that school might be on the west side of Union County, or on the good side, whatever county you're in North Carolina or across the country. And that's probably a very segregated school. So we're going to keep an eye on this, but I'm very proud of the Union County public school teachers on going on strike, because that's the type of energy we need right now, is shutting this shit down and threatening capital.
Yeah, exactly. So what the North Carolina General Assembly was able to do this week, so they got in the chamber and they did a job.
They did something,
but they basically they instead of passing a budget, which they haven't done, there's no budget. So they Union County is scared to allocate anything because they don't know what the actual budget is and what they're going to get versus what they requested. But Trump said, "Hey, I need another seat. I need you to help secure, make sure I do not lose power and go to jail." So North Carolina answered the call, the Republicans, and they have once again gerrymandered in the middle of a usually a 10-year span following a census. They did it in 2023 after they had control of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court allowed the gerrymandered districts to proceed. So instead of a 7 Republican, 7 Democrat representation across the state, it moved to 10. And now 10 Republicans, and now they expect to pick up an 11th seat, which leaves I think 3 Democrats in the state. Or is it 2? And so, like, again, this is a purple state. The Republicans have taken control, and they've, wielded their power without any regard for the actual citizens of the state that they represent. Um, and just they took Trump's call. They basically didn't even debate it, and they just signed it. They got it done. And just like that, here we are. And I think that they might, there might be some lawsuit. I'm sure there will be a lawsuit if it's legal or not. It is illegal. Even the North Carolina's Constitution basically outlines it as illegal. It's racially discriminatory.
Not in Trump's America.
And this is the seat that's been held, I think, by Democrats in a majority black district for 30 years. So it's not like,
John Davis.
So, but for 30 years at least, right? So, yeah, I mean, when there's no representation, taxation without representation, what is there? So here we are.
Well, I think I brought this up on the show before, but there's this guy, he studies collapsing democracies and rigged elections all around the world. I don't know if I brought this up before, but he said that he's seen it all. He's seen, political violence. He's seen, apartheid states. And he's seen the way, every country rigs elections. Not every country rigs elections, but the countries that rig elections, like he's seen the whole panoply of different, ways to rig elections. And he said in America, the way we rig elections is how we draw maps. He's like, that's how we rig elections, is how we draw maps. And, when he said that, it really struck me because, I think we've normalized that in this country, right? Like, oh, it's time to redraw the maps, gerrymandering, every 10 years. I mean, instead of being like, this whole thing has never been a democracy. And I think that's also another reason why, harkening back to the No Kings rally, and people are like, we got to save our democracy. It's like, this has never been a democracy. And that's really hard for a lot of people that believe themselves to be white, who are progressive, moderate, liberal, whatever you want to call it, to really accept that. So they're fighting for something that never truly exists. Same way MAGA's fighting for something that never truly existed. And that's dangerous on both sides because one allows them to put a battery in their back to feel like, they can commit violence. And the other allows them to feel like they can put a battery in their back and feel like, what, we've done enough.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, what do you foresee? I mean, I think that, what do you like? What do you think is going to happen?
I think what's going to happen. I mean, probably, like I look at it like this: until Republican voters are upset about this, what you want us to do?
Accountability, yeah.
Like until Republican voters are realizing, wait, the trans bathroom that my rep that I voted for and love is so awesome doesn't help me, or my rep from this extremely gerrymandered, quasi dotted, line district that hasn't expanded my health care and I'm dying. I gotta lose my leg and I can't afford it. Now I have gangrene. Like it's very much like that viral Net Damn Looney clip that we have, where it's like, until y'all are experiencing the most violent aspects of the state, like you're not going to care because they think violence is only what ICE is doing. They don't realize violence is also your children not being able to be educated properly. They don't realize violence is also them not giving you access to clean water. They don't realize violence is also you not having access to health care. And in that negotiation, they're getting fed all the saccharine, right? All the bullshit, all the they're trying to give was the healthcare to migrants or to illegals, whatever they want to call it. They want to let all the criminals out of jail. They're getting fed all this shit while they're getting absolutely nothing. And I think my question to Republicans
Exactly.
is like, what do you think the government should be doing? Like, how should the government be serving its citizens? They never ask that question because their side of the aisle actively puts on a dog and pony show and gives them bread and circus, right? Like the people who are performing, they're eating the bread while you watching the circus.
Yeah, I think they always say what they don't want their money going to. I don't want my money going to these
Mm,
immigrants, or I don't
mm,
want my money going to these lazy welfare recipients. I don't want my money going to X,
right,
Y. I don't want my money going to Argentina. That's
right,
what they're starting to say. But what are they actually saying? Like, well, where do you want it to go? Like, do you
right.
want it to go to education?
Do it no,
Do you want it to go to healthcare? Or like,
yeah, or to your point, take it up one. Do you want your money to go to the 1%? Because that's where it's going. That's where it's literally going.
yeah, exactly. The even the military. I mean, most of it goes to the military, but which means it's going to the military
That's the
industrial
1%.
complex.
Who do you think
Is it going
Dick
to
Cheney when
directly
he
to?
Dick Cheney when he was vice president, he became a billionaire off of Halliburton, the
Yeah,
MiG, the MiG, the military industrial complex. Like so, when we say the
I,
military, that's not separate from the oligarchs.
yeah. I think
War
I
is
think
profitable. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. And I think that the new mantra needs to be with real fighters, with real people on the left, is follow the money, right? Because the Hakeem Jeffries and the Chuck Schumers, if you follow the money, that's not going to end so well for a lot of Democrats either.
Yeah,
So, and their sponsors or their contributors,
they need to wear like a NASCAR jacket with all the logos on them.
donors to their but so they can't say things because where's their money coming from, right? And so it starts to affect them. It's also why, you know, I think it's also some of the same reasons you don't hear Epstein from a lot of Democrats, not because they're necessarily named in it, but because they have donors that they have connections and they have people, this 1% that they don't want getting out. So when you start to follow the money, um, again, follow the money that Epstein was funneling through Chase, right? Like if you start to funnel the money, you start to end up in some uncomfortable places and comfortable positions. And
No pun intended.
that's why we don't hear a fever pitch about Epstein from Democrats either.
Yeah, and I think too, like even with the Epstein stuff, like you know, there's just this inability to. I mean, don't ever challenge Democrats to miss a moment. They will absolutely miss a moment. And Hakeem, speaking of Hakeem Jeffries, there's this. I don't know if you heard, there was a guy who was a pardoned January Sixer who was just arrested for attempting to murder Hakeem Jeffries. And we talk a lot of shit about Hakeem Jeffries, but at the end of the day, he is a black man. And I don't want any black man being harmed by anybody. Even you talk shit about Candace Owens. I would never want a white supremacist to harm Candace Owens, because even though these people are performing for a system of white supremacy, no black person deserves. I mean, no person deserves, but I especially, let me be very clear about this. No black person absolutely deserves to be harmed by white supremacy. So this guy was, arrested, and Hakeem Jeffries makes this statement, and he's like, for you crazy MAGAs out there, like, don't come for me, because don't come for me. It's like he makes it about himself, and then we're gonna get to it later. But the one thing I like about Zoran Mamdani, anytime that he gets like some sort of racialized attack or some asymmetrical attack, he pivots it back into how that's going to serve New Yorkers and drive down the cost of the cost of expenses to live in New York. And like this whole like celebrity, this whole Democrat celebrity thing that like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer think that we're on this 1990s politics. Like, I'm the tough guy. You don't want to mess with Hakeem because you're gonna get the steam. Like, no one cares about that. Like, dude, like, how are you serving us? Right. If you think that black people don't actually, and then shut up. So it's like, but of course, I do not want anything to happen to Hakeem Jeffries. We talk shit about him, but at the end of the day, he's a black man like we are, and we absolutely don't want any sort of violence to be wrought on him. So, but also look at this. These are the people who are the law and order folks. You pardoned 1,600 insurrectionists, and now they're trying to kill Congress people. Another guy was just arrested for another attempted murder. So like, these are the people trying to finger wag at us that you're laughing at Charlie Kirk and you're all this shit. It's like, y'all are
You're the
people.
violent one. you know, we're the party of law and order, but we're going to set 1,500 people free. Indiscriminately. Not even a process, just like we're just blanket letting y'all go. I mean, one of them is dead. One of them is dead because he got in a shootout with cops.
That's right.
These are criminals, and or future continue to be
Trump pardoning George Santos. You know, more criminals.
We're going to see them. We're going to see them in the. We're going to see them coming out of ICE, like they're in ICE. I do believe that, but we're going to start to see them exposed. I don't know if you.
That's why they're wearing masks.
To you, but like, but they also are showing up to training, failing drug tests,
failing physical tests.
They have domestic violence
psyche
charges, robbery charges. Yep. These are people who have been accepted that are actually showing up for training, onboarding.
Yeah. They're also not giving their fingerprints, so they can't do a deep scan. I mean, what are we talking about here? And this is why I get so irritated when like liberals like cede ground to the like, we just got to be kind. Being angry is not the same thing as being violent.
Yeah. Or saying that like ICE is abolishing ICE is too bad of a phrase. Don't say that. Like we don't. ICE is Trump's paramilitary.
Come on.
Like if y'all don't see what's coming, like in terms of how much funding, they have more funding than our entire military.
Than some militaries across the world. Most militaries across the world.
And these are people you see that this is light. What they're doing right now is light. If you don't think that these people are going to start killing Americans,
they just shot a guy.
So they've shot and killed. They kill people in custody. But I'm saying that like you don't think they're going to just start indiscriminately killing people?
And they shot a U.S. Marshal.
I mean, they shot one of their own the other day.
Yeah, I mean, might be the same story.
Yes, so they're gassing Chicago police. They're basically doing whatever. They're pointing guns at people driving by.
Pregnant woman. These are not. What does he say? They're not bringing their best. These are not the best. These are not the best whites. And I know there's a few people of color out there, but there's always a few Stevens out there.
You got some Mexican hopping out the car with an accent.
Hey, it's it. Like
that's what we call a sellout. Because if he wasn't in there, they'd be shipping his ass back across the border.
Oh, real quick, just for some levity here, can you pull up my Instagram? I don't know if you guys have seen this. I have official footage of ICE interviews, and I think it's important that we watch this to see the screening process. Ram just talked about how folks are unable to live up to this, and I think we need to pull this up, dive into it just real quick, and something just to, because we having fun today, right? It's the end of the week. And let's just see what it takes to get into ICE, because it's
is this Mr. or
a Mr. Yeah.
Okay, give me a minute then.
No worries. Because at the end of the day, we're seeing these folks. This one lady's talking about how she was harassed by ICE, and then he took his vest off. His gut spills out. He's sitting there like, oh well, do you got your papers? And it's like, you have a Nazi, you have a swastika on your wrist. Like, I don't think I'm going to talk to you at all. And as people have been saying, if you don't know who these people are, this is what the Second Amendment's for.
Yeah,
I'm not good.
Yeah, I think like what they said, they can't even do push. They can't do a mile in 14 minutes.
A mile and a half. So it's
okay. Well, whatever.
And to be honest, that's about as fast as I run. I run a mile in about 8 minutes. And then I started slowing down after
12 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, that's key. That's if I keep, and now when I hit the mile, then I'm like, I gotta start slowing the treadmill down. Okay, Okay. But I didn't get my win back, Ron. Stop judging me. Anyway, so let's check out this interview. This is an actual ICE. So this is what it takes, folks. Let's see what it is.
Okay.
Let's round up a bunch of agent. Well, we're only taking the best. You're gonna have to get through me. Do you have any qualifications whatsoever?
None.
Sick. Are you a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Sick. Great. What Cracker Barrel logo did you like more? Pamela Anderson.
Wood.
Correct. Who, in your opinion, do you think should headline the Super Bowl halftime show?
Pete Hegseth.
That's right. The boy can sing.
The boy can sing.
Fast and the Furious movies are...
Too woke.
Agreed. They're too fucking woke now. Which of the following best describes your penis? A curly Q like a pig's tail, a munchkin from Dunkin' Donuts, or essentially a clit?
What's a clit?
Right answer. I don't even know I have to ask this one. Race?
Why?
There's only one box on this form. And between you and me, there are a couple guys that work for us that aren't this box. They're helping us round up a bunch of brown people, but we are absolutely going to get them as well after we're done with all the other ones. Are you allowed to talk to your son?
No.
Okay. Your ex-wife is a...
Bitch.
What would your last meal be? Here's a note for you. You're hesitating too much. Ask me that same question. I'll show you how you should have responded.
What would your last meal be?
Baconator and son of Baconator, bitch.
And if you notice, he was interviewing him at a Chick-fil-A, the hate chicken place. But yeah, that it of course clearly that's satire.
Well, yeah, you do have to point it out, I guess. One thing he said, it was like, well, we're going to round them up after we're done.
Yeah.
To that point, there's been several Iraqis, several Afghanis. I hope I said that right.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. But who helped our military, for translation, fought alongside
Intel
now in promises of a citizenship here in America, and they've kicked them out too right now. The people who was where were they sending all the Honduras? Was it? Where were they sending all
Salvador?
El Salvador. Thank you. So they had informants here in the United States from El Salvador, who, as part of this deal to take random migrants, undocumented immigrants, to other countries. What we found out this past week was that Marco Rubio basically handed over the informants who helped out America, was presumably in different ways by providing information, and he handed them over to El Salvador to make this deal happen, which means you sold them out. So now that we've made these promises to these people, and now that they are being sold out, that sets a precedent not only for the Trump administration, but for every future administration, because these are people that are helping us during Bush, during Obama, during Trump. And Trump comes in, and during Biden, and now Trump comes in, and his administration is selling these people out. So, what does that tell future informants, future allies? I mean, you got to be dumb as a rock to go join ICE as a immigrant and not think that it might not come back to you. But then this is information sharing that is no longer going to be trusted. This has happened. This will happen across the world, and people aren't really thinking about it. CIA informants, FBI informants, any kind of informant, intel sharing. I think it was Netherlands that cut off. There's not sharing information with the United States government as of last week because they felt like it was being going straight to Russia, right? So if you don't think that other countries aren't already stopped sharing information and intel,
hey, listen, man. Other countries have. I think they're already thinking, how do we move forward without the United States?
Absolutely. And they're
And
not necessarily vocal with it yet, but at some point
right,
it's just
they're
going
just
to
they're just
happen. We don't
moving.
need to.
They're just moving accordingly. They're like, you know what? Because at the end of the day, it's like, why make these broad announcements? It's not like they're going to be responsive to like, hey, I mean, look what China did. Okay, we can't get soybeans from you, Brazil. What's goody? And all these farmers now, President Trump, show us your love. Brazil, what's goody? This is business, baby. Economics does not know borders. Trump, he makes the best deals. Fuck you. Majority of soybean farmers, fuck you. We're going to Brazil. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, like they ain't messing with these folks. They ain't messing with these folks. Anyway, so yeah.
So we got. So also, if you're listening, please like, share,
Oh
subscribe,
yes. God damn it.
follow.
Yes.
Share with your friends. Definitely comment.
Please, we have this thing now. We even got a comment here already from Starch Manning. The Epstein shutdown, the Epstein ballroom can't spell hatred without red hat. I love that last line. Can't spell hatred without red hat. Genius. Genius.
So some other things happening this week, maybe on some of the less known fronts.
Yep.
We have Graham Plattner.
Graham Plattner. Now he was the progressive, the Joe Rogan progressive. He's Bernie Sanders. He's Joe Rogan. He's Zoran Mamdani. He's Barack Obama. He's the average working man. He's the vet, and he got into some trouble. And I was rocking with him, on the front end. But also, as we know, you can't have your neck all out with white folks. So he gives what this headline says. Main Senate candidate Plattner says tattoo recognized as Nazi symbol has been covered. The problem is that you have it.
I mean, look,
my friend.
First off, I don't know too much about Nazi symbols other than.
I mean, how dare you, Ron? How dare you not know everything about the Nazis?
But that is a tattoo, and it's a very unique tattoo.
Right.
And, he said, so here's what he said. He got it in 2007 when he was in his 20s in the Marine Corps. It happened during Marine Corps. It happened during a night of drinking while he was on leave in Croatia. He said he was unaware until recently that the image had been associated with Nazi police. So what other problematic things is this? What's going on with this guy, though?
So the thing is, he's actually not very problematic outside of the story. So right now, Janet Mills, who is the governor of Maine, is jumping into the race. She is the Kristen Gillibrand, Chuck Schumer candidate. And look, you know me, I'm not a big fan of them, but they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. This is Oppo research. Like they've put money behind finding dirt on whoever they want to go against. Of course, they want to run a more pro-Israel. He's been very pro-Palestinian since high school. He's been very communist since high school. And that this scares the AIPAC lobby, right? He said that he's calling Palestine a genocide. He wants to, it get very pro people things. He wants to raise the minimum wage. He wants to have Medicare for all the things, all the bells and whistles, and things that we're looking for. But I give it to Schumer and Gillibrand's money machine. They were like, all right, all you got to find is that one thing and it undermines the entire thing. Now, let me give you my perspective. So yeah, then he also has these old other Reddit posts where he's actually talking about some things that he has a little bit of their moral clarity, where he's talking about how sexism can be bad, and things of that nature. But I look at it like this: I don't trust no white people. I just don't. I just don't trust any white people. My parents, that's racist. No. I have been proven right, and we have a long history of white people will always side with whiteness rather than a multicultural, multiracial, pluralistic society. But with that, it's up to each of us, or excuse me, it's up to each of them to prove me wrong. And then I give it to people like this. As a man, I am always guilty in front of women of whatever men do. And does that mean that I'm doing it? No, not at all. But it's up to me to do the work and to do the acts daily to prove myself to be safe around women. Same thing for white people to black people. And the exact minute I want to leaning into my masculinity around women, or you ain't nothing but a B, you ain't nothing but this, that, and the third, then women are like, I knew it. Jonathan Majors was a good example where he had these magazine covers with him being all extra sensual and extra like in touch with his emotions. Then all of a sudden he's like, oh, he commits assault. So Graham Plattner here, they pulled the information up, and I look at it like this. This could be an opportunity for the Democratic Party to, one, if they're serious about having this big tent of someone that maybe, even if he didn't hold the Nazi ideology, once again, calling yourself white is inherently, I don't care if you're progressive, liberal, moderate, you are saying you're better than me because whiteness is made up. You are still holding on to that lie that you are a white person, which means that you are a better person than people who are not white. That's the foundation of why I say I don't trust any people who call themselves white. But this is an opportunity for them to say, this guy, he's been on a journey, right? I've told my story on this show multiple times of who I used to be before I went on my journey. I was a sexist, misogynist, homophobic, anti-black racist, but then I've been on my journey, right? So there's a level of like, is he on this redemptive arc? And and the last thing I'll say, and I'll kick it to you, is that they could also use this as an opportunity to scrutinize the military and how they do radicalize people. What they say on every military base Fox News is playing. And on top of that, when I think it was Obama or Biden, that like they wanted to have a process for folks when they leave the military to kind of get de-radicalized, I guess is the phrase. And Trump killed that shit. So there's levels like, this is what our military does to people. It thingifies people. It others them so they can be murdered, killed, ran astray, blah, blah, blah. So it's an opportunity that I think is missed from the Democratic Party. But what are your thoughts?
I don't have too many thoughts on this guy, other than we've seen. I think,
or like,
I
guess the framing is a progressive who has something in his closet, because it could be anybody, right? John Fetterman again.
I think there's accountability. That I think there's always needs to be accountability. So he might see that accountability. And unfortunately, maybe in the middle of his campaign cycle. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who this guy really is. Yeah. But it is what it is, right? Like, why did you get that tattoo? Like, why were you in the barracks or getting a tattoo? Like, who
in Croatia?
Like, who are you with? Like, that's a weird night. I've had weird nights, but like,
I've never got a Nazi tattoo.
Exactly, or like a weird tattoo. It's just some random. Like, I don't know if I could never be that drunk where I was just.
Well, it's two things. It's either you were too dumb to know what the tattoo was, or you heard feedback from people that what it was, and you just didn't get it covered up until like yesterday. So both of those are really bad answers.
Yeah. So look, he might be reformed. He to your point. He said some progressive ass shit, which. Okay, but I don't know. I can't. How much can you trust these people? You have Fetterman, you have the Trisha Cothams. If there's a sign, if there's a crack, then
we got to push on that bitch to make sure. Like, who is you?
Yeah, like you need to you need maybe 4 more years. You can run again, and you'll be you've been held.
So, but to that point, is he better than Susan Collins, who's always concerned? Who's always worried about Donald Trump, but then always votes with him like 100%, or she votes at.
When you frame it that way, it doesn't matter. I say, hey, roll the dice. Like, what is it gonna hurt?
Right.
Like
it's like they're all Nazis.
It's the devil, right? But I don't trust anybody. So like, you gotta show me who you are, and I think like North Carolina learned a terrible lesson with Trisha Cotham. I wasn't here to like see what she was campaigning on, but I did run into somebody who was worked on her campaign. She was, I believe, her student. Her student.
There's a bunch of
they reconnected, and they were text conversations, and and then one day she's like,
all kind of progressive shit. It was wild.
And then one day she's like, I'm switching over, and then Crazy. She never talked to her again. She ignored her since. So money changes people. Propaganda changes people. So who knows who got to Trisha Cotham? But these are
Colonel and Pine did an investigation and they kind of proved that she was always a long-term plan, like
and I think there's a
a
lot of
long
those.
con. I think so
I think
too.
there's a lot of those. Like I was at the the precinct organization. You were there, precinct organization meeting. I don't know if you were there when this. You were there the whole time, but like some guy showed up and he's just looking super suspicious. He's there with his kid,
Oh yeah,
and I'm just like, yo, like, because I
like
like, I'm observant type. Like I know, like if some shit's
I mean,
usually I'm
you're a
like,
soldier, Ron. You're a soldier, bro. Like
I know something's about to go
right.
down, right?
You're, I got your six, bro.
And it's like, well, I don't know where I live. Like, I don't know what precinct I'm in. I'm just kind of here. And I'm like, all right, y'all need to watch this, man.
He's in a whole separate county. Like, how are you in a whole and like deep in the county? Like, that wasn't like on the or the edge of Charlotte.
So, I think there are plants. I think that look at our government, look at the federal government. You mean to tell me that
Come on.
I think Russia may be winning the Cold War.
But again, this is what this country's always been.
The Cold War.
The thing is, because it's consciously posted a video from this day last year, and there's a bunch of tweets about what's happening and about like, oh, we're going to a civil war. And one of the tweets was like, it's not that it's a new civil war. It's the Civil War never ended, and it went to a Cold War. And that's what we're saying.
True.
It's like it just never ended, and now we're like, it's a new war. It's like it's you can't find. And I told someone this yesterday on Instagram. You can't tell me 1 decade, 1 year where there isn't an extreme racial terror to Black people at the hands of white supremacy. That is then excused by the powers that be. Whether it's under Joe Biden and Daniel Penny getting off for killing Jordan Neely on that subway car, or whether it's Barack Obama and George Zimmerman getting off. I mean, the system tells us that it's a racist system. So as we're talking about Graham Plattner and his Nazis, it's like this system which inspired the legal infrastructure of Nazism. Like we shouldn't be shocked at this. And I think sometimes we as people that live in the modern era, we want to believe that we're past that. And I think that we can't afford to have that level of not believing.
When I was a little kid, I didn't know what the Nazi symbol was. I was like, oh, that
the SWAT meet, yeah. I
don't know. I think I like drew it. Like I was like, this looks cool. But like I was just like draw it, like, right, because I think somebody else did, and I'm like,
my friend.
My
friend Adolf.
Point, like, but to that point, like, I mean, how would I know at like a super young age?
Yeah,
right? But then, like, why are other kids drawing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, so
now hold on. Now, were you drawing the S? We always draw the S.
I don't know. And also, like,
I'm talking about just like the S on the notebook.
No, I wasn't drawing the. Oh yeah, the S, the little
S,
3 lines.
And then someone was like, "No, this is the real."
No, yeah,
S.
that was the same type of thing. But like, also there's the Indian. I think it's like a Hindu symbol.
Yeah,
that's
the
reverse. I knew I wasn't drawing it, but like I saw that on the doorstep when I was canvassing, and I was like, oh, I saw the other like.
I saw that a bunch of times.
The other, Hindu decorations, but I was still like, it's been. I was like, oh, that kind of shocked me at first, and I was like, okay.
And that's interesting because, like, as a Black person, like that symbol, again, I'm talking about in our common psyche, right? Like you saw that knocking doors. I did too on a few houses, Now I knew what it was because I could tell Nazis.
Yeah, I knew what it was too.
Like pink chalk around it and shit like that. That's not like what Nazis do. But either way, you still have this kind of visceral, guttural reaction when you see that. Now, as a Black person, we know that those people, like when Black people see that, we know those people also don't like us, like the scary version of that symbol, right? Yeah. That's a very interesting, dynamic if you think about it. That like when we see that, we're not Jewish. We weren't put in the guy. Now there were African Germans who were also of the first wave of people who were murdered by the Nazis. It's actually in the Holocaust memorial. They talked about the Africans who Hitler targeted first because they were poisoning the blood of Germany. Sounds familiar, but I think it's interesting that even in modern day we're like.
Yeah, and one other canvassing real quick. We got to a house and there was like cameras, and I'm like the way that it wasn't just like normal camera. It was like this. I was like, it had like it just looked a little bit suspicious, and we started walking up, and then I saw like a sign or a rock or something that said FAFO. I'm like, never mind. we're skipping this house. Like, and I was with
Oh
a black
shit.
woman canvassing, and we're like, "Yep, nope." She's like, "I didn't even know what FAFO mean." And I'm like,
Yeah, at that point,
now you
whatever.
know. I'm like,
But
I
like-
can just look at this house, but like that's the thing. Like I'm aware of myself. Like I'm gonna look at this house. I see extra cameras.
We can
I'm
make
like,
a
oh, you on
quick
some?
judgment.
Yeah. I'm like, nope. So
The white folks, let me go up there and knock on the door. What's going on, Tom? Hey, Tom. Hey, I see. It says FIFO. What does that mean? Is that
but
a
also,
BOGO sale?
But and to tell you how we have to think is like I was with this black woman who I just met, and we were in a upscale neighborhood in Charlotte. At this point, are probably over $1 million houses, and she was like, don't like let's not sit in the car too long because like I don't want people to like be suspicious and like. But that's like how you have to think is like we have to be like. I don't know, buttoned up, perfect. Get up, don't sit in the car for more than a minute. Like, don't be suspicious.
And that's what we talk about white privilege. That y'all don't got to do that.
Nope. And so
I was born poor. It's what Rom just said. That's what when we talk about white privilege, it's that you don't have to think about all that. You walk up to the door with the FIFO, like what's going. That's a privilege.
Yeah, and then right after, and this is the same instance, and then we got to after the FAFO, we went a few houses down, and this is when the neighborhood started to like be more low income, modest, and we got to the next door, and she's like, it's an old white lady, and she's like, "Get away from my door! Like I don't like you, Democrat." I was like, "Look." I had another one who was like he went off calling Kamala Harris a bitch and all this shit. And like I'm like, look, y'all are fucking crazy.
Cool. And now look at them.
Yeah, like, and then what? And for what? Like,
right for this,
bro. Like
for this.
Is
this what you wanted? Do you feel better now?
So, anyways,
moving on.
Some other quick things to go through real quick. So we okay, we're about 51. So let's go to Mamdani.
Yeah, he had a really good a showing last night.
Cuomo, just knocking him out left and right.
And if you guys didn't know, I mean, clearly we don't live in New York City, but New York is the most populated city in America. It is the financial hub of the world. Some people say New York City is the capital of the world because so much commerce, finance, fashion, and industry moves through New York City. It is one of the largest economies in the world, not just in the country. So if you live under a rock, Zoran K. Mamdani, is running for mayor of New York City against Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa. And it's really Andrew Cuomo who lost to him in the primary. Mamdani won by 12 points. And just like a sex pest, Andrew Cuomo could not take no for an answer. And he jumped back in as an independent. They've already rejected you once. They've already told you no once, Andrew. No. I'm just big Italian, as he said. I'm just a big Italian guy. People don't like me because I'm Italian. Last night, Zoran Mamdani, I think, handled himself in the way of I think Democrats should handle themselves. And I don't think it's because he's a democratic socialist. He's someone who's sure of himself. He's confident. He's inspiring, and he has a vision for the future. Most Democrats aren't any of those things. And I'm looking at someone like a Roy Cooper here, who is not inspiring. He doesn't have a vision. He's just trafficking in like all shucks politics. And in a moment, as we talked earlier about like, well, Roy Cooper, will you be against, will you be for abolishing ICE? And I don't want to hear about how the American system and the jobs that ICE. That's what we're talking about, right? Like, and Zoran Mamdani saying that I would be against the Trump administration and their crackdown on ICE. I would make sure that our National Guard would be activated, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. It was beautiful. So I know we got to get out of here, but there was a couple mic drop moments that I just want to get to. I know, I think her name is Sadia on Instagram. She had one of the really good mic drop moments. It was like about his accusers, where he said, you've been accused of sexually assaulting 13 women, a baker's dozen, Rom, not just 12, 13. And I want to say he put Cuomo, he knocked him off his square because Cuomo, he was sitting there and he was like, I don't even know what to say. I'm the gabagool, I'm Italian. And Mamdani hit him straight in between the eyes because this is someone who wants to lead. It was 8.6 million people in one city, which is insane if you think about it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
taxpayer funds. Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, 13 different women who worked in your administration credibly accused you of sexual harassment. Since then, you have spent more than $20 million in taxpayer funds to defend yourself, all while describing these allegations as entirely political. You have even gone so far as to legally go after these women. One of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is here in the audience this evening. You sought to access her private gynecological records. She cannot speak up for herself because you lodged a defamation case against her. I, however, can speak. What do you say to the 13 women that you sexually harassed?
If you want to be in government, then you have to be serious and mature. There were allegations of sexual harassment. They were then went to 5 district attorneys, fully litigated for 4 years. The cases were dropped, right? You know that as a fact. So everything you just stated, you just said was a misstatement, which we're accustomed to.
Everything that I stated was a misstatement?
Yes, because the cases were dropped. That's what happened.
Wow, that's how I'm talking about bring it to a motherfucker's front porch, like bow, and and Andrew Cuomo, who he himself is an attorney, and was the attorney general for New York years ago, before he was governor. It's funny when people lean on the legality of why someone isn't this, that, and the third. And I was trying to remind people, it's like like for example, like when the Diddy thing happened, and there were so many people like Diddy's innocent. Diddy only got charged with he got 4 years or something like that. Diddy's only getting that. They threw out the other stuff, and he's innocent. And I remind, because this was within our community. I'll remind people. Does that work when a police officer gets out for killing a black person? And we've seen the video of him shooting the black. You would be like, well, he's innocent because the legal system said he's innocent. Like it's like, well, who gives a shit? Like this is a system that is built by rapists, murderers, and thieves. As Bob Marley said, you will never find justice in a place where the criminals make the rules. So
yeah, and we've talked about this since episode 1 and over of like this benefit of the doubt that's constantly given to especially white men,
absolutely,
but also men, especially in these very similar
powerful
cases.
Man.
But I mean, look, Trump is a criminal. He's been a criminal. What if you don't have it? It's like people need to see him on tape, like urinating on somebody or like calling, like
stealing the boxes. I mean, we had the boxes in his
like. So when you elect a criminal, you get a criminal enterprise. Are we surprised? Like,
it's normalized.
People show you who they are. You don't want to believe. I mean, Cuomo was basically forced out.
Oh yeah,
he was shamed out, and here come Democrats, right? Coming again, like, okay. I mean, it's a weird way worse than what was his name? Al Franken.
Oh my God!
Right,
mm-hmm.
And he never saw the light of day again. And
it shows how small that was.
I'm not going to try to play the Olympics here, but like Cuomo, 13 women is a lot, and he was accused of doing a lot of like shit. So, look, you guys want to fight for again. These establishment, Democrats, the ones who are backed by the money, again, follow the money. That's all you really need to do is follow the money. So yes, if Donnie wins New York, I do think that is, I don't know. I don't know if I'll call it like a shred of hope, but I think that is indicative of the future, or where the future could be.
Right.
But Trump's already saying like everything has to go through me for New York, and so he's already planning his attack plan. And I'm like, all right, you need to just stop paying federal taxes, because that's like, I mean, what are we paying taxes for at this point?
To go to Elon Musk.
So, like, if you're not going to give representation to me, or no one's going to represent me, or you're going to extort, and you're going to blackmail, and you're going to, take funding and that Congress has appropriated, and take it away for programs that I want to believe in, I don't know why. Why we're paying taxes, and I don't know why, if you're going to be violent towards the people and towards me, I don't know why you would expect that the people won't become violent. So, is what it is. Real quick, couple of ones to just wrap up, just to touch on USA to Argentina. We're like, I think it was what it started off as 20, and then it's 40,
40.
then it'll be 80. And they asked Trump, they said, well,
Oh, yeah,
he said, well, what about American farmers? American farmers are asking.
Shut up, girl.
And he said,
Shut up,
young lady, why are you talking to me?
Shut your
How
pretty
dare
little
you?"
mouth. Shut up, lady.
Yeah,
You know what he really
and
wants.
so right, and so,
and on top of that, hold on. On top of that, just to add to the 40 billion, he also made a deal to buy beef from Argentina. And the beef farmers, this was a problem months ago when they were saying that the government was trying to lower the price point for beef from American farmers, and they're like, we are already on razor thin margins now. We know big and these are all in farms. That means that these are places where they raise, slaughter, and package the cattle, right? So that's some big farms that we basically we get a lot of our meat from. He's now going to buy this stuff from Argentina, which will absolutely gut farmers.
Yeah. So here's I think this is the segment.
What do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying.
Okay. No one said they were doing great. Second off, like, he could have described 100 countries. So he could have been describing like any 100 countries.
Palestine's not doing too well. Last time I checked. But as we talk about like having a class argument, like we got to be very clear what Trump just said there. Him saying Argentina's not doing well. This is also an attack on Argentinian citizens, right? Like, I think when Milei first took office, it was like 30% unemployment, or at poverty, I should say, and now it's like 47% are in poverty. So this bailout isn't going to those people. This is going to Milei and his crook cronies that are in his cabinet and all this shit. So like this is an attack on the working class. But until we can start putting those pieces together, it's really hard for us to see that. We just say, oh, Argentina's getting that, but like Argentinians themselves are not getting any of that, right? So like we have to understand that this is a hoovering up of wealth upwards towards the 1%.
Yeah, and so again, MAGA and Republicans, when Epstein first came out, it was, oh my God, we got to get, or not when it first came out, but when it was
hot again.
Why aren't you releasing the files? Like, and it simmered down, a few weeks later. It's very similar reaction here of like, oh my God, you're fighting for Argentina, making Argentina great again. I didn't vote for this. We've been bamboozled, coming out of some of the personalities on the right, and then they will.
But you'll vote for them again.
Yeah,
and you always say that, right? Like, I think there was times over the years where I was like, oh, maybe not, maybe, and it's like, no, every time.
And it's like, I don't know if you start reminding these people like, hey, look, he's giving money to a brown Latin American country. Like
no, they know Argentina. That's where the Nazis fled. That's why there's so many white people there.
Yeah, they're light brown, of the light brown variety.
In leadership, they're white. These are white Europeans.
Exactly. So, but to that point, these people rabidly hate anything that's not white. So I don't know. Maybe you harp in on that. But anyways, and so as we kind of wrap up, the government shutdown goes into another week. I think I'm heading into week 4.
Yep.
People are not getting paid. The healthcare, the cost of healthcare is about to go up for a lot of people.
November
next
1st.
year. It's going to break the system. I mean, this is one of the things that Democrats are basically hammering in on, is like these subsidies need to extend. Again, what do you want your government to, what do you want your tax dollars to pay for? What do you think your government should do? This is one of those things, keeping healthcare costs low. Healthcare system's already a fraud. They're jacking up prices to, again, lying to 1%, lying these
We
corporations.
should call that the healthcare access system, because it's not the healthcare system. Like, they're not providing healthcare; they're providing access.
Yeah,
like that's us. That's us doing the. That's even us doing the rhetoric for our own oppressor, calling it the healthcare industry.
That's a good point. So and SNAP benefits are going to end November.
People they're already getting notices.
Yeah, there's theories that they actually want to cause.
It's in Project 2025,
and
it's in
cause violence to ultimately try to invoke martial law, which they're itching to do. Stephen Miller is just dying to do, labeling everyone a terrorist. You and I are labeled terrorists at this point, because we're anti-fascist, and because we can say something like Black Lives Matter. I don't know if you got your Antifa and Black Lives Matter membership card.
Well,
but it doesn't matter. Hey, they're gonna throw it around. So to that, I say fuck you. But anyways, so that's that, and then the White House ballroom.
Oh yes, let's get this real quick before we head out of here. White House ball. Was it the East Wing? Is that what it is?
It is the East Wing, yes.
So Trump's big, beautiful, ball-drenched, golden utopia is what I'm going for. And there is many people who were harmed by this, and as I say on every episode, pretty much, I embrace it. I think a lot of us need to wake up from this childlike Disneylandification of what this country is. This country, that house, that White House, was built by our ancestors under duress. I know Michelle Obama said that on the DNC stage years ago, that I live in a house that was built by slaves. Yes, sister, under duress. In fact, the first time we built it, we burned it down in the War of 1812. We helped the British. We burned it down under hopes that we can get free. So when we say that, just understand that, like, we didn't build that because we love this nation. We built it under whips, guns, and knives, and rape and dismemberment. That's under that threat. So, but to say all that, I'm just giving you my perspective as someone. I'm not that connected to the White House, to be totally honest. In fact, the only time I've ever been to the White House, I was protesting the government. I was protesting Joe Biden, November of 2023. So this is a month after October 7th, for the already calling it a genocide. And there was the largest anti-genocide rally in American history that got no news coverage. There was over 350,000 people on the streets of DC. But anyway, so that was my only time going to the White House. I was protesting the government and my party for abetting what we knew would become a genocide. So people are upset about it. He's tearing it down. But I'm like, we need to separate ourselves from these totems. We need to care about people more than we care about property. These are not cultural items. These are not like, you go to, how they blew off the noses off the Sphinx in Egypt, or they blew off the noses off in Kemet. How they destroyed infrastructure in Palestine. All those, temples have been around for thousands of years. That's historic shit. This house is a symbol of imperialism. So honestly, like, I get it, but we need people to sit with this uncomfortableness. If you ask me.
Yeah, I don't have a strong connection to the White House. I've been outside the White House.
You ain't never been inside?
I've never been inside the White House. Don't really care to. Look, I would have loved to meet Obama in the White House, but
I'll kick it with him.
Other than that, like, I don't really. Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think it's symbolic of what's happening.
Of what?
I think.
This
wrecking ball. The wrecking ball. I think the White House is the symbol of the country.
Yeah.
As a symbol of America, and so to see a wrecking ball hit it is. exactly what's happening in this country. It's like Trump taking a wrecking ball to the country. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if this project stalls at some point and it looks like this for many years. Like, it doesn't. Who's paying them? Again, my problem is, again, it comes down to.
Did you see all the sponsors?
No.
Oh my God!
Oh, they're probably all the people that he's. I'm assuming they're
Google,
people that he's like,
Microsoft. What's Sam Altman's company?
OpenAI.
I mean, these. So when you walk in, like, how's it gonna look? Like, to the point about the NASCAR jack, when you walk in, it's gonna be like an arch with a bunch of like logos.
So basically, it's a way for them to get what they want.
Yes,
quid pro quo, which that's what I assume.
Corruption.
But he's asking for $230 million from his own DOJ, which is almost the price tag of this. So it all, like, that's, again.
Is this what Robert Burns and Brian Talbert out there, all you racist local people that we know, is this what you voted for? And the thing is, they're so deep in it, they got to say yeah. They're so weak. They're so weak ass people. They're gonna be like, I wanted. The thing is, your government does nothing for you. It does nothing for people. Yes, we can make it selfish individually. You get nothing, but it does nothing for people. And like, you are some sick people. And that's crazy if you ask me. It's like, I couldn't imagine being so hollow that I hate myself, that I hate my shared humanity with people. I see someone else that looks different from me, loves different, prays different, looks different, from a different place, and I'm like, they deserve nothing. And that's what these people, they got to say, yeah, I like this. Why? You ain't never gonna go there. And dictators do this when they have no plan on leaving. Remember, Hitler built a giant ballroom over his bunker. And where is this going to be located? Over what is essentially the situation room. They have no plans on getting that. The people are getting really distracted from the ballroom, not tying it historically. This is exactly what Hitler did.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how many. Like, yeah, we're calling you Hitler. We're calling him Hitler because, like, he's using Hitler's play. Yeah, we're calling you a Nazi because you guys are acting like.
Are these the donors?
Yeah, these are the donors. So at this point, look, it was what I say is like, this is why I say general strike. Right. Stop spending money. Stop spending money. Because where you go, like, at the end of the day, you're looking at Amazon, Apple. I mean, shit, we should stop using our phones and buying apps and everything.
Yeah.
But we got to start somewhere, right? But stop spending money at this point.
If you don't need to buy
only
food,
the essentials, because I think there's calls for Spotify right now is like, so Spotify's an easy one.
They were giving money to ICE or something,
right? Just switch over to I don't know, Tidal at this point. Like, at the end of the day, just turn it all off. Just turn it all off. But here's where we've gotten ourselves into this digital world where we no longer own anything. We don't own DVDs. We don't own, well, we might have DVDs and Blu-rays, but nothing for anything new. So everything is sitting on our Apple TV. It's sitting in the cloud. It's sitting on Amazon. You got Apple and Amazon right here at the top of the list. If we would cut off our Spotify, our Amazon, and our Tidal and Apple, then what are we left with? We're left with no music. We have our records and our CDs. But at the end of the, like, I don't have
most cars don't have
CDs. Shit, like, all this, like, our books, our everything, our audiobook, like, it's all digital. And as these things get cut off, they cut off our access. They manipulate it. Like, so this is where we're headed.
They talked about this in that book, The Big Nine. They warned about this in 2017.
This is why the books, I'm like, okay, I got to build up my library even more because
especially the banned books.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just look at this list. I mean, it's crazy. All these companies.
Microsoft. Oh my god, it keeps going. I thought it was done.
And for what? Like, and so what do they get out of it? Is the question.
They get their deregulation. They get their workers. Their worker protections rolled back. They get their subsidies through our tax dollars to keep them afloat. Just think about. What was it? And is it NVIDIA or is it the other one? I mean, I know you got to go, but like again, we're just subsidizing people. What are we paying taxes for? We're paying to make billionaires more rich. But we're gonna keep our eyes on this because I know Rom's got to head out of here. But and I want to be very sensitive to his time. But folks, please like, share, and subscribe to the Ralph Cruz podcast. We're recording a little bit earlier today, so we being a little bit flexible. But please make sure you reach out to us, give us any ideas, any sort of topics or tips, because we're trying to get to it all. We can't get to it all in any Q&As. I'm your co-host, Ron Baxter.
I'm your co-host, Ram Sandoval. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, share with your friends.
Peace. See y'all next time.